screen. The shot was made by Gebrewit in the corner, and they put the 3 on the board, and DePaul is, but have since lost 3. With the left hand, nice soft touch. That's Logan Dye.
Logan Dye, one of the old school style basketball players, a big that plays on the post. He will show you that skill, footwork, and touch around the basket, getting that space for that left hand jump hook.
Long one. Look at Gibson. He has got the greenest of green lights. Samford down 2. Samford last time out lost the game against an NAIA team. They lost against Tennessee Southern. Glover keeps it, hangs, and spins in a layup. And we're tied at 6.
Being generous, Ques Glover is 6 foot on a good day, but right there you see his upper body strength, his explosiveness, his ability to absorb contact and still finish at the basket.
And Johnson is fouled at midcourt. Jermaine Marshall got him on the wrist. Now, Bucky McMillan, now in his 3rd year, was a wildly successful high school coach in the Birmingham, Alabama area. Last year, 21-11, 10-8 in Southern Conference play. They were 3rd in the SoCon. It's got a good thing going, Dickie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good selection by Samford to select Bucky as their coach, homebred right there in Alabama, successful high school coach, the ability to recruit in-state.
From the elbow, shot is up and in. That's Gebrewit.
Gebrewit has been struggling as a pass on his performance offensively. Coach Stubblefield needs him to score the ball. These are good signs early. A 3-point shot by him and the easy catch and shoot mid-range in the open space.
Achor has come in for the first time for Samford. He replaces Logan Dye. DePaul with a 2-point lead. Gebrewit. And Gibson lost it out of bounds. Samford's got it. There's Tony Stubblefield, now in his 2nd season. Last year, 15-16, 6-14 in Big East play. That was 9th best record in the Big East.
Long-time assistant coach, very successful, very good at recruiting. Well-deserved opportunity as a head coach. Why not bring one of the best recruiters in college basketball here to DePaul to help rejuvenate the success that DePaul has had in the past?
Sleeping giant. Shot got up on the rim, but Parham leaves it short.
Security.
This is Terry playing with that mask for the last couple of games. Suffered a broken nose. It's never an easy thing with a mask on your face trying to play basketball. Eral Penn with the misfire.
Yeah, Terry's been struggling. He's trying to get used to that mask, like you mentioned, Eric. It's difficult when you have to put that mask. Most guys want to take it off immediately, but he's starting to learn how to get used to it and play with it. But as Coach Stubblefield mentioned, it has diminished his ability to score because he's been able to try to get used to it.
Foul committed by Jalen Terry, and he'll have to sit for a moment. And the minute he gets to the bench, you see him loosen up that mask and take it off. Parham.
You hear Stubblefield in the background telling him to go. He wants to get up tempo. He's trying to find easy opportunities for easy shots.
Penn with the misfire. Ahmad Bynum has checked into the game for DePaul. Local kid out of the public league. Famous last name in Chicago, Bynum. His uncle is Will Bynum, former NBA player. We're tied at 8. Last basket made by Glover, his 2nd. He's now got 4 for Samford. Gebrewit up and down. 2nd 3 for Gebrewit.
The game is simple. The Blue Demons are doing a good job getting the ball from side to side. Gebrewit is a catch-and-shoot guy. They moved the defense, got a nice rub off to get Gebrewit a wide-open look.
Oh, look at that. Some string music. Deep. Bubba Parham. Bubba Parham can score. No doubt about that. So a good offensive start for both sides. We're tied at 11.
Quez right now with the strong upper body strength to get the follow through and finish, together with lining it up, opportunities, and he's delivering with knockdown shots.
Came into this game averaging 6.6 points per game. He's got 8 right now. Change to tell you about for Samford. They bring in Brody Boyer. He wears number 25. Boyer pressuring the ball. Inbounded to Gibson. Gibson hadn't scored so far in our ball game. He's only attempted 1 shot.
Well, the style that the Bulldogs play, up-tempo offensively and defensively, they use a lot of players off of their bench.
Shot is missed by Bynum. That's the freshman's first shot. Leads to a run out. And that is a veteran running the break in Bubba Parham. He's 5'11", so he needed to know where everyone was on the floor, felt some contact, made the layup easily.
Well, he did a good job in the open court, speed and quickness, but he shielded off the defender by getting right in front of him so the defender could not block his shot.
Oh, my God. Gibson almost thought about firing that.
Well, he's feeling it, so it wouldn't be a problem if he launched up a heat check.
Here's Penn. Errol Penn, his first bucket. Transferred from Long Island University. Came into this game 6 out of 15 from behind the arc, 40%.
Well, I mentioned earlier the Blue Demons only shoot 30% from the three, may make 7 a game. They're already, as you see, Quez Glover penetrating the seam using his athleticism. He's kind of hobbling now like he twisted his ankle, so hopefully he's okay.
Penn can't make it 2 in a row. And ball's cleared by Samford. Samford 6-2. The majority of their games have been played at home. This is just their second road game. Boyer, nice shot. Junior hits the triple.
And that's just nice right there. A little penetration, creating a little space for Nathan Johnson to knock down that 3. Get it up, quick release.
Javen Johnson. Penn can't handle the pass. Here comes Parham. Oh, my goodness. Logan Dye.
And this is how Samford plays. They're up-tempo defensively, defense creating offense, playing the passing lanes, anticipation, but most importantly, Bynum sharing the ball game offensively and defensively. They're trying to press the teams, not so much trying to get steals every time, but to wear them down, keep bringing in more guys off the bench, and everybody plays with confidence offensively.
Jaron Riley has checked in. So Riley's in the backcourt trying to pressure DePaul. And now equal strength, half-court basketball. But already 11 seconds have been taken off the shot clock.
And you see the dribble weave right there to get some ball movement and body movement right there to get some spacing.
Penn, nothing there. Shot clock down to 3. Gibson. That was good defense played by Samford.
Excellent defensive possession by the Bulldogs.
A chore. Fakes one way, goes the other, had it blocked by Penn. Let's see if Gibson calls his own number. Gibson's been super quiet. Came in averaging 16 points per game. Hasn't scored so far in our ball game. Played 7.5 minutes. Jaden Campbell. Last touched by DePaul.
And when I say they play with confidence, the Bulldogs play with confidence, you see Jaden Campbell pulling up from almost the hash mark. But that is the leeway that Coach Bucky McMillan gives them. As long as they provide the energy, the intensity defensively, they get a little bit range offensively to kind of play with freedom.
Campbell threw it up off the wrong foot, and those are 2 Bulldogs scrapping for it, and it's taken away by Gebrowitz. Javen Johnson. 3-ball Johnson.
The Blue Demons doing a good job locating three-point shooters. Johnson already knocked down one in the same spot, getting another opportunity, and is really feeling it. But, you know, the game has become easier. They're finding guys when they're open.
A.J. Stanton-McCray It's his first shot of the game, and it's swatted away by Deshaun Nelson.
Security, protect my house.
We've got a timeout on the floor. Samford off to a good shooting start. They have a 3-point lead on the DePaul Blue Demons, but DePaul trying to get a spark.
Dylan has the right temperament for today's college players. I mean, he's confident, a matter-of-factish, but not over the top. And you see he's explaining to him defensively the contest just a little bit more, and they ran a play, just one little tweak to make sure they're executing fully.
Something interesting stat-wise, Samford on the road against a Big East team, they have 12 points in the paint, while DePaul does not have 1 point in the paint.
Yeah, well, the Bulldogs do play with a post player that they like to play through at times versus DePaul playing with mostly all perimeter guys.
Terry took a long one, leads to a long rebound. Zion Cruz backs it out for DePaul. Cruz loses a hesitation step to free himself and makes his first shot.
Good aggressive move, getting to the mid-range pull-up. Nice skill move, didn't overdo it. Found his spot, his space, and elevated over the defender. Here he is penetrating with nice 2-dribble pull-up, which you learn. I know that the analytics shies you away from mid-range jump shots, but they're coming back in, and it should have never been not talked about. But guys are being effective in the mid-range as Cruz proved it right there.
Parham leading the offense now. Jermaine Marshall, top of the key. Offensive rebound, Logan Dye. He's been a force early.
He's a strong player down there in the paint. He gives the Bulldogs some offensive paint presence, posting up, but offensive rebounding. And he just went and got that one using his brute strength for that offensive rebound putback.
Umoja Gibson, you can tell that he has been a focus for the Samford Bulldogs defense. He's only attempted 2 shots, hadn't made anything. And contact up high, foul called on Cruz. We have not had a free throw attempted in our ball game. Not one.
Well, there's a lot of jump shots going up in this game. The only shots that you've really seen in the paint was Logan Dye with his dunk and his left-hand jump hook and that offensive rebound. But these are 2 jump shooting teams outside of Logan Dye in the post. So it's hard to get free throw opportunities.
Cruz has made his last 2 shots. Gets some nice elevation on that turnaround, doesn't he?
But, Eric, when you're making jump shots, it doesn't even matter right now about free throws. It's when you're not making them, you need to mix it up and be aggressive and try to get to the basket and get fouled.
Jaron really walled off. Dye. Ball falls right into the lap. And Parham can't make it hurt. Body's flying. It will stay with Samford. Cruz couldn't stay on his feet. Another thing we haven't seen so far in today's game, Dickie, is a turnover for Samford. They played 10 minutes and change and not turned it over once.
And you would think a team that plays up-tempo pace, gets out offense, and is aggressive, that they would have a lot of turnover situations. But the Bulldogs have taken care of the ball, and I know that was a focus for Coach McMillan going into this game.
Bad screen set by Jaron Riley. So that foul is technically considered to be a turnover. So we're talking about the lack of turnovers for Samford, and there's your first one of the game. But it happens at the 9:38 mark of the first half.
Well, it's good that they've already gone half of the first half with only 1 turnover. They average 15 turnovers a game. And, again, it was an emphasis of correcting for this game, and they're doing a good job.
Long one. Nelson off the window and in. He'll take it.
You know a team is hot when you have your big Nelson hitting a 3 off the glass. I don't think he called that. I don't think he called that window. But that bank was at the ATM machine after hours.
Really? How about that? Lefty 3. First 3-pointer for number 3 for Samford.
And that's what really does. He's a son of a coach, a good shooter. His dad used to be an assistant coach at Gonzaga and at Boise State, now coaching in Australia. So this is a son of a coach. He knows how to shoot the ball. That is his bread and butter.
Nelson into the corner, finds Cruz. And Cruz has been a revelation. Came into this game with 7 points in 6 games. He's got 7 points right now.
Both teams are shooting the ball well. The Blue Demons have already matched their 3-point field goals made already in the first half, 7. They make 7 a game, and they already have 7 now.
Dye. On the run out, nobody in front of Nelson. Deshaun Nelson. Largest lead of the ball game. For DePaul, they're up by 4.
Well, Nelson does a good job contesting on the defensive end where he can leak out, but Gibson, having the awareness as a point guard, averaging 7 assists a game, knows that the big fella's running the lane and delivers it.
And a foul called on Cruz, and that's going to lead us to the first free throws of the game for either side.
The shooting is on point, even when you're shooting off the glass like Nelson, but the threes are raining from deep. And it's what I like to call
about defending and rebounding, getting them, pushing them out, defend and rebound. Even got to have a statement that says, Deshaun, that was great. You kept some balls alive, man. You brought some energy, man. We need the same thing. Get back in there and be ready to do it again now.
Dickie, it's the same thing you're saying about Bucky McMillan when we listen to his huddle. The positivity dealing with these kids.
These are two coaches that get it in today's basketball. Their temperament, the way they instill confidence in their players, the way they can deliver a message to the players where they can receive it. They both, Coach McMillan and Coach Stubblefield, have the right process in getting that done. And Coach Stubblefield just keeping it simple. Rebound and defend, and he's commending Nelson, doing an excellent job defensively, deflections contesting, and Nelson getting rewarded on the other end with the dunk.
Now, DePaul shooting 58% from the field. They have made 7 of 13 three-pointers, but neither side has attempted a free throw until right now. A.J. Staten-McCray uses all of the rim to get it to fall.
One of the big stats right now that's very impressive with the DePaul Blue Demons that I haven't seen in a while, they have 10 assists on 11 field goals. That is impressive. That is sharing. That means sharing is caring.
That's like vintage Rod Strickland back in the day for DePaul. 2-point game, pressure in the backcourt, and DePaul better hurry. DePaul's playing without Umoja Gibson, leading scorer, 16 points per game, has not scored so far in our ball game tonight. This man has, though, Zion Cruz. Johnson had it for a moment, lost it.
Now, that might have been one of the more difficult shots DePaul has taken so far in this game.
Everything but down for Staten-McCray. Nathan Johnson has come back into the ball game for Samford. He made it 3 his first stint on the floor. Terry in and out. Parham ties the ball game.
You have to love Parham. He's a veteran college basketball player. Played at Georgia Tech in the ACC. He's one of those valued transfers that Samford was able to get.
Losing the ball out of bounds was Penn. Yeah, interesting story about Bubba Parham, number 1 for Samford. Not only did he play 3 years at Georgia Tech, but before that, he spent 2 years at VMI, which happens to be in the Southern Conference, which Samford is in. He was a all-Southern Conference performer before 4 seasons ago, and now he's back in the Southern Conference.
Well, he's a scorer. I mean, this is a kid that you see him right now, driving the basket, using his shoulder to block off the defender, able to use his left hand. But you're looking at a bona fide scorer. This is a kid who scored 35 against Kentucky.
Johnson tried to squeeze a pass in tight quarters, couldn't get it done. Samford the lead in the ball. Staten-McCray is fouled, and apparently the only person allowed to shoot free throws in our ball game is A.J. Staten-McCray.
And you see Parham right there coming off the ball screen, going downhill, being aggressive, made the big have to make a decision. The big was too far spaced off, and he just attacked the body of the big finishing at the basket.
So 14 minutes into our game, and the only man on either side who shot a free throw is the man shooting them right now. Changes for both sides. Logan Dye comes back into the game. Jaden Campbell back in for Samford.
And as you see Staten McCray at the free throw line, he's been the most aggressive player on this team. And this is a kid coming off of an ACL injury last season. You see the brace on his leg, but he's playing with so much confidence now. He struggled the last couple of games. He's still trying to get used to the brace. And, you know, when you had an ACL injury, Eric, it takes you a little time to get that confidence back.
Umoja Gibson back into the game. Let's see if he tries to get his offense going.
The Bulldogs right now showing a matchup zone right here. They switched the defense around.
Gebrowit. He was hot early. Penn rips the rebound away. Oh, the best look of the day for Gibson. Yep. Some things you guess at, other things you just know.
Well, that shot opportunity was made because Nelson was able to see the open Gibson and deliver that pass for a wide open three. So here's Nelson. He sees the defense coming. He sees Gibson wide open. Gibson not playing around. Nice catch and shoot in flow. And you got to love the bench into the game. And both teams are coming off losses. This is an important game right now in the early point of the season. When I say important, you want to get things rolling again. You want to get the best out of your performance leading into conference play. Both teams need a win.
Nathan Johnson sets the screen for Quez Glover. Gets it back. Johnson. I like that move.
Johnson showing his ability to attack the basket. He's another transfer from UMBC. Solid player, knows his role, can defend, capable shooter. That's why he was able to put it on the floor and get to the basket.
Gibson. Yep. Samford was doing a great job of cloaking him with defense, but they've lost him the last 2 times down the floor.
Well, he's been a scorer in every school he's been to. You know, he scored at Oklahoma. He's scoring here. He's the leading scorer on his team, averaging 16, and you see why.
Dye. DePaul a chance to regain the lead. Gibson, can he make it 3 in a row? It'll stay with the Blue Demons. Gebrowit. How did that go in? Rim, glass, rim, and in.
Hey, well, that's when you have the shooter's touch. That's when you feel it, when you're filling in the game. Gebrowit's already made threes, a mid-range jumper. Now he put it on the floor, and you see the touch.
Lefty layup up and in. Logan Dye, I'm telling you, he's like a bull in a china shop.
Hey, it's not too many post players out here. Well, there are a lot of post players. They just don't get opportunities in the post, but Dye is getting those opportunities, and he's showing his skill set.
Hey, Jalen Terry rings the bell.
A well-needed 3 by Jalen Terry, who's been struggling, getting used to that mass. To see the ball go through the net, that should be a big confidence builder for him.
Jalen Terry had been 1 for 11 shooting threes on the year before that make. DePaul leads by 3. Logan Dye, again, a committed drive. It'll stay with Samford. Johnson, score it, and a foul. That's when you know you're a good shooter. When you pick the ball up off your shoot tops and you immediately find the rim and you drain it.
You got to always be locked, loaded, and ready when you're a shooter. You can't be bashful and shy, but you pick it up, like Eric said, right off the floor and knock it down and lay it. And then Jason Terry showing you his range. Game tied at 39.
The senior for DePaul, he is the leading scorer for the Blue Demons at 10 points.
The 6'7" wing right here with the catch and shoot ability, showing you the quick release at the mid-range and also stepping into a wide open 3 and having the confidence to stay with it and knock down when guys are contesting. This is a big offensive performance for him, a good sign for this DePaul team, and I know Coach Stubblefield is happy that he's getting scoring from his starting wing.
Well, right before that last time out, we had Nathan Johnson hitting a 3 and getting fouled. So Johnson at the line trying to finish off what would be a 4-point play. Native Iowan Comes up short. Had too much time to think about it.
Oh, man, you got to capitalize on a 4-point play, especially when you're laying on the ground and you know the shot went in. You got to finish. That's like doing an amazing crossover on a guy and he falls and then you don't make the three or make the open shot.
Nelson, how about that? This time he didn't use the backboard. Second three-pointer for Dejon Nelson.
Dejon Nelson showing his ability to be a stretch forward. He can shoot it from anywhere on the court. He gives them that length, but he gives them the shooting ability to stretch the floor.
These DePaul Blue Demons look like an old-school Drake Diener, making a bunch of threes. They're 10 for 18 as a team from behind the arc. A chore! That's a three for the sophomore big.
So nice. Game is so nice. They named him twice. A chore knocking down the three, coming in, stepping up. And this is the luxury you have if you're Coach Bucky McMillan, where you can play so many guys on your roster and they all come in and give you production.
Terry! Good golly! That's 11 first-half threes for DePaul.
DePaul knocking down threes, like I mentioned before. We're only shooting 30% before, but most importantly, Jalen Terry, I told you after he made that first one, he saw it go to the rim. Confidence is high, and he makes another.
Campbell walled off. Really? Extra pass to Johnson. Johnson free on the wing. Second straight triple for Nathan Johnson.
And that was created by Really just penetrating, drawing two defenders, making a nice bounce pass to the open Johnson.
Neither team is in the bonus as we play our final 1:45 of the first half. Foul committed by Bubba Parham.
And if you're DePaul, you don't want to gamble off of shooters. You don't want to gamble off of Johnson. You don't want to gamble off of Really. These are guys that can knock down shots, and right there they gambled, and you're gambling towards a skilled guy who can make the right pass at the right time to the right guy.
Samford shooting 51%. DePaul is now shooting 60%. That's Gibson, a triple.
Eric, this is the best shooting that I've seen of college teams so far in this early part of the season.
DePaul is 18 for 30, 16%. They've made 60% of their threes, 12 for 20 from behind the arc. Baskets are the size of manhole covers.
And the Bulldogs are not shooting a slouch percentage from three. They're shooting 42%, which is an excellent percentage when you're shooting behind the three-point line.
All right, this is an urgent final minute of play here for Samford. You look at the numbers. When they lead at the half, they win. When they're trailing at the half, they lose. Pretty cut and dry. Achor will have another free throw. Sophomore from Melbourne, Australia.
Well, as this game goes on and you get into the second half, it'll come down to who can maintain the energy level to execute and who can still sustain the shooting ability over into the second half.
Both sides with a foul to give. And we're going to have our first free throws for DePaul. Errol Penn will go to the line. These will be the very first free throws for the DePaul Blue Demons, and they come at the 1:05 mark of our first half. Stay tuned for the Jeep Halftime Report. We'll head to Los Angeles. Mike Hill, Bill Raftery, Jimmy J, and Casey Jacobson, all standing by after a break. They're going to talk about the Big East, newcomers, some freshmen putting up numbers, doing things. Penn grad transfer from Long Island University hits the first, he'll have another. Javen Johnson, number one, comes back in for DePaul. Logan Dye comes back in for Samford.
And Penn, a transfer from LIU, Long Island University, who coincidentally is coached by a DePaul Blue Demon alum. Rod Strickland is the head coach of Long Island University in his first year.
Catch and shoot. Campbell! Good golly. Everyone is lights out so far for both sides.
And all the shots that are being made, they're good shots. They're getting good attempts, both teams. They're sharing the ball, getting the guys to have open looks, the ball quick, and the guys are getting them up.
Terry thought about it. With the left hand, knocked it out. It'll stay with DePaul. Extra possession.
Nice job by Terry to react quick to his own shot with a nice touch. Rebound, push out to Nelson.
Gebrowit, pass was deflected and an offensive foul. Gebrowit left his feet and Logan Dye held his water.
Logan Dye giving up his body for the team, sacrificing for the better of the team, taking that offensive charge, seeing Gebrowit out of control, attacking the basket.
DePaul can't play much better offensively. 58% shooting, yet they only lead by a point, and Samford with an opportunity here to make a change in the scoreboard before the half.
Well, Coach McMillan doing an excellent job getting the ball past half court, calling the timeout. He wants to go for the last shot. Draw up something where you're getting the ball in the Quez Glover's hand and have him create a play. He's good in one-on-one. He can create his own offense, and he has the ability to draw defenders and hit the open player. The Bulldogs have shooters on the court, so Quez Glover should be able to make a play right here before the half, Eric.
All right. We'll see if it works. I like the fact that Bucky McMillan calls the timeout, telling his team this is important.
Yeah,
Get a good shot.
In this day and age, one of the things I always pay attention to is ATOs, after timeouts. Can teams execute what the coach drew up? Can you do all the little detail to execute the play right after timeout? We're going to see if the Bulldogs can do that, get a good shot, and take momentum in with a lead.
It's going to start with Parham. Marshall, Glover, Dye, and Campbell also on the floor for Samford. Just playing keep away. Now they'll start the offense. Dye just rims out, and that's the way our first half ends.
Well, minimum numbers in the paint don't look as bad when you're making shots, but you see Samford Bulldogs, they've attacked the paint, and then they have Logan Dye who can score in the paint. So it's impressive that they have made threes, but they also have gotten 22 points in the paint.
DePaul in the first half made 18 baskets. All but 3 of them were assisted. Up and down, hot shooting continues. Javen Johnson along the baseline.
Nice start coming out in the second half, isolating Logan Dye on the baseline versus a versatile Javen Johnson. And he's just sized him up and knocked down a baseline J.
Logan Dye missed, but the offensive rebound picked up by Marshall, who can't follow. Gibson and Johnson playing keep away up high. Now the dump down. A lot of action, no whistle. That's Rawl with the misfire. Erol Penn can't hit it. Samford coming out of the Southern Conference. Preseason, they were picked by the coaches to come in second in the SoCon. Score the goal, that's a 3, and we're tied at 52.
Hey, every player on this team has the green light offensively on the Bulldogs. Bucky Ball gives you that ability to play with confidence on the offensive side as long as you give ultimate effort defensively.
Remember, Samford lost their most recent game on Sunday at home against Tennessee Southern. That's at an NAIA school. And are you kidding me? That's a chance for a 4-point play. Philman Gebrowit.
Gebrowit picking up from the first half. I told you he's a catch-and-shoot specialist. Setting the screen. Once you set the screen, moves quick to the open spot, and he's ready. He has quick release. Catch, get it up, exaggerated follow-through, a chance for a 4-point play.
This time the 4-point play is converted. Remember, Nathan Johnson missed his free throw for Samford back in the first half. Lead is 4. And a turnover. The rare turnover for Samford leads to the layup for Gibson.
I told you both teams play with the same type of style.
Another turnover.
Yeah, you see the Blue Demons turning it up defensively, giving the Bulldogs a taste of their own medicine. Full court defense, turning the ball over.
Umoja Gibson's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year in the Big East. And a foul as Penn hits the deck.
DePaul coming out with good intensity, good anticipation as you saw Gibson play that. Defense turning into offense. And they didn't let up. They repeated it right again, getting another turnover.
This equals DePaul's largest lead of the game, +6. Samford's largest lead had been 6. That was back in the first half. Now the largest lead swells to 8. An 8-0 run in just 40 seconds of game time.
Eric, DePaul has some players really stepping up big today. Gibberwitt, Javon Johnson.
Dye swirls in a 3. That was much needed.
Even though Dye can score in the paint, he does have the capability of knocking down a 3. Now, he's not a three-point specialist, but he keeps you honest as he did right there.
DePaul, 3 up and 3 down. They won their first 3 and then lost 3 in a row. Terry. Shot clock down to 6. Penn. Funky shot with the left hand, able to tap it out, but right to his coach, who's not in uniform.
Well, I like the fact that DePaul is trying to get the ball to the paint. They're trying to establish some.
How is that not a delay of game?
Stubberfield almost looked like the guy who takes his ball from the park and doesn't want to play anymore.
I'm surprised they didn't give him at least a delay of game warning.
He want to share the ball right there.
Long one. Parham! What kind of offense is that? Just lull everyone to sleep and fire up a 3.
I don't know what kind of offense that was, but they are putting on a 3-point clinic. It's raining 3s. Hallelujah.
Gibson was too open, decided not to shoot it. Johnson. Yes! Javon Johnson. This is incredible. DePaul as a team is now 14 for 22. Folks, they don't do this unguarded in practice. 14 for 22 is 64%. Just an incredible shooting performance. DePaul, they lead by 5. Trust Arena in Chicago's South Loop with Dickie Simpkins. I'm Eric Collins. If you like offense, you've come to the right spot.
Well, both coaches have to be pleased because one of the big stats for this game, when I mentioned that DePaul has a lot of guys stepping up, both teams are getting unbelievable contributions from their bench. Samford, 21 points off the bench. The Blue Demons having 15 points off the bench as of right now.
Nathan Johnson has come off the bench. He's wearing number 25 on the floor for Samford. Johnson in the first half didn't miss a shot. Actually, he didn't. That was a free throw. Everything he took from the field was bottoms. Here's Johnson. Parham. Had it blocked away, got it back. Shot clock doesn't reset. That is a rare miss for Samford. Jaden Campbell just had to fire with the shot clock on his back.
Good defense by Jalen Terry. That was alert, assertive, and aggressive one-on-one defense to block Parham's shot.
Javon Johnson, one-man press buster. Backdoor cut to Terry. Sets up Gibson. Dye on the block. He likes this matchup. Just knew it. Just knew that was going up.
A technician right there in the post. You see the footwork. You see the skill. You see him using his body, sealing off the defender. Patience and poise.
Terry, pass in tight quarters, picked off. Samford the other way. And a block shot by Javon Johnson. So it will stay with Samford. It's a one-possession game. DePaul leads Samford by 3. I like this kid, Logan Dye.
Logan Dye with the skill, the footwork, the touch. The big fella showing him how it's done.
I don't know if he re-aggravated or if something else is going on, but he hasn't got his normal playing time so far tonight.
Yeah, he was coming back off of a knee injury that he suffered in practice. It wasn't a major knee injury, but it was enough of a tweak that they kept him out of last game. It looked like in the first half of this game, he tweaked his ankle. So don't know if it's the knee still. It looked like the ankle, but whatever it is, he's not looking like he's going to play in this second half.
We'll keep an eye on it. For DePaul, Zion Cruz into the game. Cruz scored 7 points in 7 minutes in our first half. He wears number 0. He's got the ball, hands it off to Gibson. Nelson. And a blocking foul called on Logan Dye.
Nelson was lucky right there. There was no spacing to really penetrate. Close one, but yeah, I would give that a block call. But it was nowhere to really go if you're Nelson. Just go ahead and swing that ball, move and cut, try to create a better space and opportunity.
Nelson, the spin, and the ball's knocked away from his left hand. So Nelson will go to the free throw line. Free throws have been hard to come by for DePaul. They've only attempted 3 in the ball game.
I really like the transfer, Javon Johnson, the transfer from Iowa State. He's like a 6'6" point guard, and he had the ability with his long arm to get the penetration, that paint touch to create the opportunity for Nelson to get fouled.
Nelson's a good free throw shooter. He's now 9 for 10 on the year. Remember, Tony Stubblefield doesn't have Urine, doesn't have Nick Ongenda. Those are 2 guys supposed to be a big part of what they're doing. Also, Caleb Murphy probably would have been a significant rotation player. He's out with a wrist. So this DePaul team that's playing well tonight, they're 3 men down.
I would agree, and I believe Coach Stubblefield did a good job in his first year, going 15-16 to take over a team that was struggling the year before. I think he's going to be able to make more strides once he gets those injured guys back. And the way they're playing right now is a good sign to get back on track and leading into conference play when you start moving into next month, the latter part of next month.
That possession was all Logan Dye. What freedom does Bucky McMillan give his players?
And Logan Dye just having the ability to navigate and create one-on-one. He creates mismatches, and he just doesn't score on the block. He can post move out of the mid-post area.
Johnson got caught up in the air, nowhere to go. Hey, Quez Glover's back into the game. He's got the ball. We'll keep an eye on him. Johnson with a miss.
Glover still looks like he's moving real gingerly on his ankle as he's down there battling Nelson.
3-ball, Javon Johnson.
Javon Johnson has unbelievable talent. Look at the length. A big guard who can play the 1, 2, or 3, has shooting ability. Defensively, can guard multiple positions.
This has been the best offense for Samford. Trying to flop, and what do we have?
And I like this adjustment now in college basketball. I like it. You know, there's no more warnings. They're going to let the play go through until there's a score or change of possession, and then they're going to assess the technical foul here on the flopping, and I like it because it was either going to make the change to doing what they do now with the Class B technical foul where the player doesn't get a foul. It's not a team foul. It's a Class B, so the team gets to shoot. I like this process so you can start eliminating the flopping because the only other way you could have dealt with this, Eric, is to not make any calls at all. Let a guy flop, he gets scored on. Eventually, they're going to stop the flopping because you could potentially lose games by flopping.
I love it. And the call was instantaneous, and Samford can't capitalize. They missed the free throw, but score the goal, and it's now a 4-point ball game.
I think you need to implement this rule into the NBA. I like it.
Pressure in the backcourt. And DePaul breaks it just barely. Cruz. And again, the pass is to the head coach, Tony Stubblefield.
Well, what's happening right now in that possession, Cruz doing a lot of dribbling. When they've had success in the first half and up to this point, it's when they've had ball movement and body movement, moving the ball quick, getting good opportunities. Once DePaul gets into the over-dribbling, that's where they get in trouble.
A chore, number 14 back into the game. That means that Logan Dye is sitting for a little bit. Won't be long. Jaron really also back in for Samford. A chore. Tough chance. Made it look easy.
So nice right there.
And a foul in the backcourt's called on the reach-in by Jaden Campbell.
The Bulldogs got what they want right there on that defensive possession. Full court pressure. They got the ball down in the coffin corner, double team. Coach Bucky McMillan pleading his case right there where he felt like that was a bad call.
I can see why guys like to play for Coach McMillan and Samford. He just got an attitude about him, It's like, lets his guys play. Nothing too tense.
And sometimes, it can be difficult when you have success in high school to go right to college and have success. But he's doing a good job as the Bulldogs force a turnover right there.
Well, he coached in high school, but he's used to coaching big-name guys in high school.
True.
He's got guys in the NBA. And,
True.
It was a feeder program to a lot of college programs. So he's got experience working with a quality player.
So it wasn't a culture shock, and it delivered respect because the guys know he's coached high-level players and players that have made the NBA. So point taken, you're absolutely right, Eric.
DePaul leads by 2. Both offenses slowing down just a smidge over the last 2 minutes.
And I talked about in the first half, who can sustain that offensive power?
What a great pass. Gibson finds Nelson.
And this is why Gibson averages 7 assists a game. Has a very good vision. Delivered that pass nice and easy.
Glover doesn't have his normal explosion trying to elevate and put a shot up. And hitting the deck, Gebrewhit, we got a foul called on Samford.
Gibson, even though he's averaging 16 points a game, you're talking about a guy that averaged 7 assists. Look at the nice, easy pass. Drew the defense, was able to deliver it to Nelson. Gibson's coming off a game of 10 assists and 6 steals, but most importantly, 10 assists with only 1 turnover.
Wow.
That is impressive.
Hadn't been that careful tonight. 25 minutes. Gibson now with 4 assists and 3 turnovers.
But you like playing with a guy like this that has balance in his game. He can score the ball, but he also can distribute so he can keep his teammates happy. You watch so much basketball now with scoring point guards, and all they do is launch up shots. Gibson has a good balance in his game.
DePaul's largest lead was 8. Long 2. Gibson too strong, rebounded by Parham. Logan Dye back in.
Let him isolate. The spacing was jammed right there. Parham should have moved out and given Dye more spacing.
Nelson's had a really good game. That shot may have been a little bit forced.
It looks like the three-point shooting for both teams is starting to wear off.
Great low post position. Logan Dye. Nothing DePaul could do except for foul him. So we're going to have free throws coming for Samford when we come back.
A guy so nice, they named him twice.
On Samford. Let's go in the huddle with DePaul head coach Tony Stubblefield.
Guys, don't get too excited. We get a run out, get the shot you want. Get the shot you want. You got to play with more energy. I'm just telling you. You got to play with more energy. Don't tell me that. I need you to do it, okay?
Second year, calling the shots with DePaul. Tony Stubblefield, he's been a winner everywhere he's been. And this is just a golden opportunity with a Big East program, with a new arena that people rave about. Chance to bring in your own players. With the transfer portal nowadays, you can get players in quick and move your team around. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do in year 2.
Well, if you want to have a team that plays at fast pace, that's fine. But like Coach Stubblefield is telling his team, get the shot that you want. Don't be in a hurry. This is where you can play you need to be able to play at a fast pace, but with poise and composure to get a good shot.
All right, this game is going to be close here all the way through, I think. So free throws are going to be pivotal. so far in our ball game. DePaul hasn't missed, but they haven't taken nearly as many as Samford has. Samford has taken twice the amount of free throws that the Blue Demons have. Dye comes out. He's replaced by Achor.
And both teams shoot in the mid-70s from the free throw line. So, like you said, free throws will be a factor. Taking care of the ball, as you see right here, both teams are applying pressure to each other. So now it's going to come down to which team can handle the heat is what I say. And right now the Blue Demons didn't do a good job handling the heat, the pressure right there on that possession.
Changes for both sides. Should note that we do not have Quez Glover in the game. He was back on the floor for just a smidge, and then he left. So we don't know if he's banged up or not, but not getting his normal amount of playing time. A.J. Staten McCray is into the game for Samford. He wears number 5. He's got the ball. Staten McCray is fouled. Athletic play by Staten McCray, and he's going to have free throws. There's Quez Glover.
And you see him trying to stand, so whatever it is that's aggravating him right now, he's trying to stand and keep moving. He's waving for somebody to come help him out, but I know how that is when you try to stay moving when you're out of the game, keep the blood flowing. Again, I think it looked like the ankle was tweaked in the first half.
Look at those bench points. Bucky McMillan believing that he needs to play sometimes as many as 10 guys per ball game to get the best out of his program. That free throw would have tied the game at 70. DePaul still leads, but only by a point. Zion Cruz.
Good pressure by the Bulldogs, applying very good one-on-one defense, staying in front of the ball handler.
Terry. Last touch by Samford, but only 3 seconds to shoot for DePaul. Let's see how organized they can be for this 3 seconds. Pretty good play.
Nice cut. Nice pass by Gibson. But most importantly, Cruz being able to snatch the ball in traffic and go up quick to score.
Cruz came into this game with 7 points total on his season. He'd played in 6 games. He's got 9 in our ball game tonight. Staten McCray wants a do-over.
And sometimes when you have ultimate freedom, you still have a responsibility as a player to take good shots. That wasn't a good shot right there.
Halfway through our second half, DePaul hanging on like a cat on a screen door, leading by 3. They have led by as many as 8. Terry being told to drive by his coach. Johnson settles for a long 2. Ooh, an interesting part where he grabs his back after getting the rebound. I think he's playing possum. Blocked away by Johnson. Dye faked himself out. That would have made it a 1-point game. Now Cruz. That's clean. Jaden Campbell knocks it away cleanly.
Nice hustle by Campbell, back in transition defense to make a play on the ball. But you see security. Quick hands right there by Campbell on defense, not giving up. And you know, you mentioned Parham holding his side. And one of the things that when we talked to Coach Bucky McMillan, the Bulldogs have played 4 games in 8 days. They've been dealing with a lot of nagging injuries amongst the players. We talked about Quez Glover dealing with a knee injury in practice and not playing.
Gibson tried to put it up the backside of Achor, and it didn't work. It's a turnover.
And see, this is the part of the game where you have to really make good decisions. Both teams applying pressure, exerting a lot of energy, and then when you get tired, it affects you mentally. This is where composure, locking into detail, and making good sound plays is so important.
A chore, nowhere to go. Play clock is down at 1. And nope, didn't get away from it. Are they going to call the pushing off foul? Yes, they will. Terry just holding his ground, got knocked to the floor.
Yeah, I think it's some evidence of the push with the left arm by Campbell to make that call easy right there.
So it's scored as a turnover. 4 turnovers for Bucky McMillan's team. 2 of those turnovers have just been offensive fouls, setting a bad screen and trying to push off for a shot. Remember, they had those 2 quick turnovers, trying to inbound the ball beginning of the second half. That's your total of 4 turnovers.
Well, that's good because, like I mentioned early in the game, they average 15 turnovers a game. They're doing a good job, and I know that was an emphasis for Coach McMillan with his team going into this game. Don't turn the ball over.
3-point game. This is Parham. Bounce pass, a chore, a chance to tie it with a free throw. Set up beautifully by Parham with his jump stop.
And Parham right there with the excellent ball screen, nice pocket pass, delivering it for the foul and the and one.
Trying to tie it up at 72.
And, Eric, you talked about it earlier. You said this is going to be about free throws. That's going to be an important part.
Last touch by DePaul. Yeah, those free throws haunting Samford right now. As a team, they are 7 for 13. That's 6 misses. DePaul, they've only shot 5, but they made all 5.
I like the energy by both teams on the defensive end. Applying pressure, making it uncomfortable for the ball handler.
Samford still playing without Quez Glover. Came in as their leading scorer. Dye. Dye's got 21 points. What a performance. Samford with the lead. But will it last? We'll have free throws for Gebrowitz.
The Bulldogs taking advantage of getting Dye in isolation one-on-one positions because of his skill, and he's staying on top of it. Bulldogs up by 1.
Just hanging out with you, Dickie.
Well, I'm just trying to give you the answers to the test, man. That's all. So when you go to the health club and play tomorrow, you'll be able to call for a transition ball screen. You know, while you're out there with the landscapers and the doctors and the dentists, we'll have one play-by-play guy out there playing.
All right, right before that last time out, we had a foul sending Philman Gebrowitz to the line, and Gebrowitz got a chance to put DePaul back on top. Remember, DePaul has not missed a free throw in our ball game. They're 5 for 5. One more, and DePaul will be back on top. DePaul is led by as many as 8. They trailed by as many as 6. We've been tied 12 times, 9 lead changes. These two schools have never met before. They need to do it every year.
And you see both teams continuing to apply full court pressure. They haven't let up. That's to slow the team down, make them take time off the shot clock.
Dye looking for help, finds Johnson. Now the screen. Still a lot of time on the play clock. Parham. Really is going to have to do something. Not in time. Great team defense by DePaul. That forces a turnover.
And that's where Parham has to know the clock situation in the game. You know that you've already passed it around. Being the point guard, you have to have knowledge of where the shot clock is. Once you've already made 4 passes, after DePaul has already pressured you, you know you're under 10 seconds right now. It's one more pass, make a play, know the clock.
Again, Logan Dye is going to be taken out for just a cup of coffee. They need him offensively. He'll be back in soon. DePaul, the lead in the ball. Trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Gibson. Rebounded in traffic by Johnson. Samford a chance to get back on top. Really?
And that was good poise by the Bulldogs, not forcing a shot, didn't have it.
Really, the man from down under goes up and under. And he's got a chance for a 3-point play.
I told you, really is a son of a coach. Look at the skill, the footwork, the pump fake, the whoop-de-doo circle, drawing the defender up. He's got Penn up in there once, twice. He's got Penn spinning around. And he knows once he has the defender spinning around, easily draw the contact, finish, get to the line for a potential 3-point play.
5 points in 14 minutes for Riley. Son of a coach, you got to make that free throw, right? All right, 3-point play. And now Samford finds themselves ahead by 2.
Well, when you're a son of a coach, you usually are not making any mistakes. You're staying poised. He's one of the leaders on the team. He can control the team at the point guard position. He has experience.
Gebrowit. DePaul's in the bonus. Should they get fouled? Love the effort by Nelson. Love the effort by Nelson. It's a full Nelson right there. He'll go to the free throw line.
Well, that's just Nelson just showing you right now, I'm not going to be denied. He's just scrapping out offensive rebounds and being aggressive, going back at it, attacking both defenders and drawing the foul.
DePaul still perfect at the line, 7 for 7. Now that goes by the wayside. Changes for Samford. Riley and Dye back in. Dye's got a game high 21 points in 24 minutes. Leading the way for DePaul, you got Johnson and Gebrowit, both tied with 16.
Troy has done an excellent job off the bench with 8 points. 8 points in 10 minutes, that's an effective and productive time coming off the bench.
Still no Quez Glover for Samford. Good late hands. Gibson knocks it away. Gibson will go to the line. That'll be a block on Parham. And free throws coming for Gibson, who is elite as a free thrower.
Well, Gibson, a veteran basketball player, getting his hands on it. Nice job at Nelson leading him out. But here's Gibson. You keep attacking the basket until the defender can establish position. Right there, Parham didn't establish good defensive position. Good job by Gibson.
Gibson is now 28 for 30 as a free throw shooter on the year. After watching him a whole bunch, remember the old UCLA guard played in the NBA a long time, Darren Collison?
Yes.
I see a lot of Darren Collison when I see Gibson.
I can see the resemblance there. I can see the resemblance.
Don't need to squint too hard to see that. Collison was a good pro.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. A reliable point guard in the NBA.
Zion Cruz comes back in for DePaul. Dye, the quick spin. Look at that. Just a gorgeous post play by Dye.
Logan Dye just having his way down there on the block, being isolated, just has the veteran post moves, deceptive quickness spinning off of the defender.
DePaul last saw this in Chicago 40 years ago, and its name was Mark Aguirre. This guy plays like Aguirre used to back in the day.
Yeah, you're right. He giving you some Aguirre, Adrian Dantley type play right there in the post. Look at it, it's just isolated, quick spin. You don't think he's going to hit you with that quick move, but he was able to see Nelson leaning forward on his back, and it was an easy spin to the baseline.
Samford leading the ball. That's trouble. You saw that Gibson's now got 4 fouls? Oh, my. Parham, step back. DePaul basketball.
And you see how the shooting has slowly worn off on both teams as this game is going on. That's when you have to really make sure you're getting good shots and you want to try to play inside, outside.
All right, does DePaul fans need to worry about this? Gibson's on the floor playing with 4 fouls.
I think that's a major concern because if I'm the Bulldogs, I'm going to continue to apply pressure on Gibson when he has the ball. And when he's on defense, I'm going to attack him, put him in the action to try to attack him so he either gets a foul or he doesn't play defense as tight, and now you have an opportunity to score a little easier.
Johnson, pass knocked away. Last touch by Achor. 8 seconds on the shot clock for DePaul.
That defense by Achor right there, those are things that don't show up in the stat sheet. His effort, his intensity, his anticipation, his hands coming up with that deflection, disrupting the Blue Demons' offense.
It is amazing, the substitution patterns of Bucky McMillan. It's Logan Dye spends more time running off the floor than he does actually playing. Yeah. He's been substituted out seemingly like 16 times here in the second half, but it's only for a half of a possession. Yeah, they clearly want Logan Dye on the floor when they're on offense.
Yeah, if you're the Bulldogs, you have to go back to Logan Dye. Everybody space, let him operate one-on-one.
Dye doubled. Bullet pass, a beauty! And the layup is missed by Staten McCray. How did he miss that shot?
Empty possession after a great pass by Dye.
Johnson the rebound. 4 minutes remaining.
You continue to go back to Dye. You space the floor with your shooters, and you continue to get the ball back to Dye and play through him.
Long one. Uh-oh.
That sweet shooting threes from the beginning of the game, leading up in the second half, is now turned ugly from behind the three-point line.
Gibson playing with 4 fouls. He got fouled. That's a good break for DePaul. Their best free throw shooter, Umoja Gibson, will be at the line when we come back to Chicago.
For the SoCon, and he's showing why.
All right, Dickie, this is a major difference in the game. DePaul's in the double bonus. So the rest of regulation, they'll have 2 free throws every time they're fouled. DePaul's done a good job of not fouling themselves. They've only committed 5 fouls, so Samford is nowhere close to the bonus. And once they do get there, it's going to be the 1-and-1.
And so that is in the favor of DePaul. And when you have the situation that you just outlined, if you're DePaul, you're not just throwing up three-point shots immediately in the offense. Let's be intentional on moving the ball, getting paint touches, and then if you create an opportunity on a drive for a guy to have an open three, then so be it. But be aggressive to try to get to the free throw line.
Samford's in trouble. Samford's in trouble. And a steal. DePaul played that perfectly.
Very good pressure by DePaul. Forcing the turnover. Now just take your time here on your offensive opportunity.
Gibson, playing with 4 fouls, is able to draw a foul on Jaden Campbell. And because of the double bonus, one of the best shooters in the entire country has 2 free throws.
And this is a good job. Gribowicz didn't try to force a shot. That was close right there. You can see that was almost going to get it. I would have maybe gave a flopping call right there, but nevertheless, the Blue Demons draw a foul.
I haven't seen Gibson hit the rim yet on a free throw. Hit the rim, but he's still 5 for 5. This is a major advantage for Tony Stubblefield's team. They were down a moment ago, but because of the double bonus, 3 consecutive free throws made by Gibson with another one coming.
Well, this is a 93% free throw shooter. This is the guy you want the ball in his hands in this critical moment of the game right now. Under 5-minute mark, you got 3 minutes, a little bit over 3 left. Every possession is critical right here.
It's a 4-0 run for DePaul, all on Gibson free throws.
Ooh.
And Samford just barely get it across.
They barely got it. Officials might have been generous right there.
Remember, Samford playing without Quez Glover, one of their best ball handlers, one of their best offensive weapons. Really just takes it away. Extra possession. Really makes it a 1-point game. 2:42 remaining.
Well, you see Really right there. Really is an unassuming basketball player, but look, he's in there hustling, scrapping, getting the offensive rebound, and then because of the scrapping, he's rewarded because DePaul is scrambling around trying to find their man, and they miss the unassuming Really, who's wide open.
Really hasn't missed a shot. He's had a nice night. Well, this is not the only game tonight involving a Big East team. It has been a busy Wednesday evening. You get Butler. That's a good win over Kansas State. Georgetown. Ooh. Texas Tech's a good program. Xavier, big win.
My Providence Friars. Ooh.
I didn't want to go there. I kind of glossed over that one for you, Dickie.
We have been struggling this season on coming up with wins. We've had some close wins, and then, you know, TCU is a good team. You know, TCU scrimmaged Alabama at the beginning of the season, had a close scrimmage, had Alabama down by 30 points in the first half.
If it was close, how does anyone know?
Well, I mean,
you could have been making that up.
No making it up, man. I got inside sources right there. I got inside sources. And then they said the fantastic freshman Brandon Miller scored 30 by himself in the second half.
Woo! DePaul easily breaks the pressure. 15 ties, 16 lead changes. DePaul's got the lead in the ball. They'd love it if Gibson got fouled again. Johnson. Back to the hot shooting again. That is now 5 3-pointers made by Javen Johnson.
But understand, Johnson was able to get that wide open look because of Gibson's aggressiveness to draw the defender and leave an open Johnson, and Gibson able to deliver a precise pass. Look at the penetration. Look at the precision on the pass. Johnson ready to launch it on a catch and shoot.
All right, that last foul was just the 6th team foul on DePaul. So Samford's still not in the bonus. Next time they get fouled, they will have a 1-and-1. Dye just won't get the layup to fall. Those have been dropping all night long.
Excellent move by Dye in the 1-on-1, just coming up in an empty possession.
Final 2 minutes of our ball game.
Right here, if you're DePaul, you want to get a good shot. You want to get something aggressive, trying to draw a foul or a wide open look.
Bad pass. Numbers, 3-on-2. And a blocking foul. Gebrowit can't believe it, but that's going to mean free throws, 2 of them coming for Samford.
Well, even though Gebrowit didn't get the call, you got to keep your composure right here. You can't get rattled. You can't show that type of emotions right now in the critical part of this game towards the officials. I understand your frustration. You felt like you had position.
So it's a 2-shot foul. As a team, Samford, they've not been elite at the free throw line tonight. Just 8 for 14.
Gebrowit still pleading his case where the play is over. Let's play through it. You now have to think about after the Bulldogs make or miss this free throw, you're going to have to be ready for the pressure that Samford will apply to you, and so you can have composure. If you're still thinking about that play, you could disrupt your mental approach for the next possession. Let it go.
Samford's got the right man at the free throw line. You saw those numbers. He can stroke it. Came into the game 27 for 31 at the free throw line. Yep, makes a pair. Some things you guess at, other things you just know. 2-point game.
Bulldogs in a 1-possession game. Can the Blue Demons take care of the ball? This is where it's important. These are the critical parts of the game where you have to take care of the ball, you have to make free throws, and you have to get good shots.
So I think this is going to be reviewed. I think there's a little bit of doubt as to who that ball last went out of bounds off of. I said it was last touched by Samford.
But I like the fact that the officials know how critical this is right now. They're taking their time out to really make sure that they made the right call. And so I like that. Yeah, it looks like it was touched by Campbell last. But again, if you're DePaul, you don't want to be coming all the way to the baseline to catch the ball. That's the worst place to catch it, all the way at the baseline in the corner.
Well, the call on the court was last touched by Samford. I don't think there was anything.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I mean, that was a good call. It should stand as the call on the floor. And this official crew, I see this crew all the time. This is an experienced crew right here. They're not going to shortchange their job. You see them paying attention to detail. They know how critical this is for both teams.
So DePaul will try it again. And a foul in the backcourt. We're going to go all the way to the other side and have 2 free throws for DePaul.
Yeah, that's not a good foul by Staten McCray. I mean, you wanted to, if you cannot get it, then you want to make sure you are honest on defense and just apply pressure. Make them have to make another pass. You don't want to make that foul when you're sending a team to the double bonus shooting 2.
So Javen Johnson, who's played a ton of basketball, he's played at both Troy and Iowa State, came into the game as an 80% free throw shooter. He's got a pair. Now, sometimes experience is just key in moments like this.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier about the transfer portal, how coaches can go to that portal. But at the same time, the transfer portal is not always the easy fix. It's the free agency of college basketball, and it has to work for both parties. So both parties can get their ROI, return on their investment.
4-point game, 90 seconds remaining. Quez Glover, normally a huge part of what Samford does, has not played his normal minutes. Play clock is now to 7. Campbell. That was not the possession Samford wanted.
Yeah, I think they got away from really making a strong effort to get the ball to Logan Dye down on the block again, or at least in the mid-post. He's been effective. He can either score or make a play for teammates. They're getting away from that. Now you're putting more pressure on you to cut this 4-point lead. Now you have to have a good defensive possession right here without fouling. Theoretically, it's still a one-possession game.
2 elite free throw shooters handling it, and Gibson and Johnson. And Gibson is fouled by Staten McCray again. Staten McCray is fouled, one of the best free throw shooters in the entire country. And Gibson, with the clock turned off, or at least stopped, will have 2 free throws. And Tony Stubblefield's got to feel really good about the fact that Gibson's at the line. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know if that was an announcer jinx for a guy that shoots 93% from the free throw line and has been making his free throws all game.
I think Coach Stubblefield knows that Zion Cruz is going to be a big part of what his team does this year as a young player. Talking to him, just make sure he understands time, situation, teaching moment. 5-point ball game.
2-possession game right here. DePaul still applying pressure, getting the Bulldogs to run time off the clock.
Parham. He landed without passing the ball, and that's considered to be a travel. So Samford, who was so good for so long, at limiting the turnovers, have all of a sudden been bitten by the turnover bug.
Yeah, well, he's going into a swarm of defenders right there with length and the ability to block shots. Not a good decision right there again, because DePaul's applying pressure. They get disrupting you from getting into what's been helping the whole game.
Gibson lost it, really picks it up. Here comes Samford. That helps him out a whole bunch. And a bump. Marshall was not in the act of shooting. Samford is not in the double bonus. So this will be a 1-and-1.
Yeah, and uncharacteristic of Gibson turning the ball over. Actually has 7 turnovers this game when he only had 1 last. But then, again, Jermaine Marshall being able to get under control, and it was unnecessary to foul right there with a guy that's out of control.
Marshall is now 30 for 32 as a free throw shooter this season.
And so now you talk about Marshall making this free throw. It puts you in a 1-possession game where you don't have to foul. You're going to get the ball back defensively if you get a stop. So right now you see the substitutions, as Coach McMillan always does, utilizing his bench to apply fresh guys out there so they can put pressure on DePaul full court and try to get them to force a turnover or at least run the clock. You don't need to foul, Eric, here. Just solid defense. Try to create a turnover.
And a timeout is called by DePaul.
That was close right there. That could have been a jump ball call right there.
DePaul got the timeout.
Good defense right here, trapping it in the coffin corner right there, trying to tie up for the jump ball. And now what you do is you put the ball in a tough situation here, taking the ball out. They can't move now. They've run a little time off of the clock. Now they got to get it across half court. You still don't want to foul, Eric. You're still applying pressure. Don't foul. Try to create a turnover, or at least disrupt DePaul where they run in time off the clock and have to rush a shot, get a stop, rebound, and now the game is where you can tie it up or potentially win if you get fouled on a 3-point shot.
And just going forward, Samford's got to discuss the fact that you don't want to foul Gibson and you don't want to foul Johnson. Those two guys are close to automatic at the line. Now, Samford, look at this. Their next 4 games on the road. Get used to living out of a suitcase.
Yeah, they've already played 4 games in 8 days. And one of the things you have to understand if you're a Samford fan is win, lose, or draw in this game or moving forward, these games are to build for what's even more important for the long game, and that's the SoCon. To be able to dominate the SoCon, using these games to help you do that.
Johnson gets it across. And now DePaul will bleed some clock. Samford doesn't want to foul Johnson. They don't need to.
Don't need to
foul. It's a one-possession game.
Don't need to foul. You can get it back on defense, but you don't want to give up open dunks.
Nelson, 3rd dunk of the night. It's a 5-point game. Now Samford's going to have to hurry. A chore, and he's fouled. Oh, DePaul didn't want to do that. Samford makes it a 3-point game with a free throw coming for a chore.
And this is one of the Blue Demons' Achilles heel. You have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to finish off games. And one of the things that you don't want to do is foul and give up a 3-point play in the critical of the game when you have it under control.
It's a 2-point game. It's a 2-point game.
Oh, it's a 1-possession game right now. If you're the Bulldogs, you're having a full court press right here. What you want to do is you want to play for the steal immediately. You're trying to trap but also steal the ball. And if you don't steal, you're fouling also right away. So play for the steal. And if you don't get the steal, it's to go right into a foul. You don't want time running off the clock. You want to extend this 11 seconds. Draw this out. Junk the game up.
Privacy, please. So Samford drawing up some defense right now. Really, their options are get a steal, and if you don't get one relatively quickly, you're going to have to foul. You don't want to foul Johnson, who's 85%. You don't want to foul Gibson, who's 95%.
No. And you don't want to trap the ball and not foul right away if you don't get the steal. You don't want them to get a pass. You want one pass into the inbounder. You either get a steal or you foul. You don't want a second pass that runs time on the clock. You don't want a long pass.
DePaul's going to have a battle for the city bragging rights against Loyola just up the street. That game is going to be on Saturday. And then Big East play, game against St. John's December 7th.
Here's an opportunity for DePaul to learn how to win, to finalize a game. In the past, this has always been a struggle right here. Here's where you get better. You build mental fortitude right here by finishing the detail.
They want to get it to Gibson, and they do. Gibson has it ripped away! Samford ties the ball game! We're tied at 89!
No foul right here. Solid defense. Don't let them get to the basket.
Gibson! And we've got overtime. Oh, my goodness. DePaul fell apart like a $3 suitcase. They just gave it right back to Samford, and we've got overtime.
This is what you call Bucky ball. This is and come out strong in overtime.
This looked like this was a DePaul win until this happened. 2-point game in the corner. Second consecutive time that Gibson has been trapped in the corner. And this time had it stripped away, and the bucket is good by Jermaine Marshall.
You couldn't have drew up it any better right there. A classic trap right there by two guys. You either get the steal or the foul. They came up with the steal, had the understanding to go score real quick. Coach Bucky McMillan talked about Jermaine Marshall, how important he is to this team. They don't have much success if he's not on the court.
All right, let's set some foul trouble for you. Gibson and Gebrewit for DePaul, both with 4 fouls. They're one away from being disqualified. Marshall for Samford has 4 fouls. He's the only one with 4.
And they're saying the Bulldogs, Logan Dye stole that tap right there. And Logan Dye is not the more athletic out of Dye and Nelson, but he steals that tap.
So the ball starts with DePaul. This is Gebrewit. Got to be careful with 4 fouls.
It's all about who sets the tone, the starting of the overtime. Who can set the tone offensively and defensively?
Johnson's had a really good shooting night. And he'll go to the line. So Johnson sitting on 21 points. He's 2 for 2 at the free throw line. Will shoot a pair. Did they call that on Marshall?
Yep.
Oh, Marshall is dismissed. That is the 5th and final foul for Marshall.
That is a tough loss right there for the Bulldogs. An important player. He only had 6 points. 2 of those 6 points, 2 of the most important points of the regulation, but they need this guy on the court.
He made that layup, and he made those 4 free throws. All 6 of his points came in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Critical points.
Yep.
Critical.
Johnson's a better free thrower than that.
And Jermaine Marshall's such a competitor. Coach Bucky McMillan said he is always the hardest playing player on the court. You saw it right there in the last possession when he came up with the steal.
1 out of 2 for Johnson. DePaul wins the race to 90.
DePaul applying the full court pressure. They're staying with it. If I'm the Bulldogs right now, you can't turn the ball over.
Bad pass stolen away by Nelson. So Samford gives it back up without having to look on goal. Terry. Those are all falling for DePaul back in the first half.
2 bad possessions. Turnover by the Bulldogs and a bad possession right there by the Blue Demons. Didn't get any ball movement, over dribbling, bad shot.
And Parham is whacked in the face.
Samford has to make sure that they can withstand the pressure of DePaul. And then you don't want to get away from getting the ball to Logan Dye. Find a way to isolate him in the post again. He was your most effective scorer in the first half.
And that's Gebrewitz's 5th foul. So both sides have lost an important player. Marshall for Samford and now Gebrewitz for DePaul. And next up is Gibson, who needs to be careful. Umoja Gibson with 4 fouls. Here comes that freshman, Zion Cruz. We saw Tony Stubblefield, DePaul's head coach, talking to him end part of regulation, making sure he understood time, situation. And now he's out there, has to sink or swim.
Well, hey, this is accelerated learning, accelerated development for Cruz right here, a freshman. He's being thrown into the fire right now of overtime with the game on the line, 4 minutes left. We're going to see, and Stubberfield's going to see what his freshman is made of in this overtime.
Parham makes a pair. If this game goes long enough, Parham's got a chance for a triple-double. He has now got double figures in points. He's got 9 rebounds, and he's got 7 assists.
That's an impressive stat line. If this game goes longer, we're talking about going into territory of Midnight Madness here.
DePaul down a point. It's the first time they trailed in a while. Nelson, backdoor cut. Johnson has it go off his knee.
Right there on that possession, Samford switched up their defense right there, played the matchup zone. It was effective. They wanted DePaul to have to pass the ball around, switched it up. They couldn't recognize how to play against the zone. You got to get the ball to Logan Dye. You have to get the ball to Logan Dye.
Dye and Nelson both hit the deck. No whistle. This is Dye. Shot clock is down to 4. Great defense by Nelson.
Very good defense by Nelson. You got the ball to Dye far away from the basket. Then the spacing wasn't proper. Made it difficult. He tried to manufacture a shot that wasn't effective.
And Parham is fouled after poking the ball away. Because of the double bonus, Parham will go to the line and shoot 2 times.
Well, this is where, when the game is extended, you're talking about mental fatigue right here on both teams. Can they take care of the ball? And this is the freshman. We talked about Cruz, the freshman in the critical part of overtime, not having awareness of the defender, kind of a casual pass.
15 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists for Parham, with his backcourt buddy, Quez Glover, not being able to play his normal minutes.
Quez Glover is an important part of this team, the leading scorer of the team, but the Bulldogs are doing an unbelievable job playing without their star player and playing very well.
Gibson maybe a little bit timid with those 4 fouls. His team needs him now.
But when you have 4 fouls and you're one of the main players of your team, you just have to really lock in with your BBIQ and your mental.
Offensive rebound. And Penn will go to the line. So the offense is stalled for DePaul. Errol Penn taking matters in his own hands with an offensive rebound.
And like you mentioned in regulation, and we talked about, it's even more important and more of an emphasis now in overtime with free throw shooting, with defensive possessions being solid, and then offensively for both teams really being methodical and precise on how effective and who you're going to on the offensive end.
Just saw that's the 4th foul on Logan Dye. Maybe that'll affect how he is able to defend. We'll see. Two-point lead for Samford. Samford, their last time out, folks, they lost at home against Tennessee Southern. That's an NAIA school. But now against a Big East team on the road playing well. Shot is missed inside by Campbell. DePaul can tie or take the lead. Johnson! Got it! Big ball, Javen Johnson.
Big shot taker, big big shot maker. Johnson right there with the wide open three.
Parham, no, and Johnson a rebound. DePaul the lead. Javen Johnson has made 6 out of 8 3-pointers. What a night.
And good job by Gibson bringing it back out. Composure. You still have 18 seconds on the shot clock. Move the ball.
Long one. Gibson! Oh, my goodness! From Hinsdale! Longest shot of the night, and Gibson hit it.
Gibson, the veteran guard, with ice in his veins, stepping up in the big-time moments.
Gibson had been quiet the entire overtime period until this 40-footer.
The star guard right here making a play, giving it to Johnson with the three. Look at him, wide open. Hashtag splash.
Back-to-back three-pointers for DePaul. Both of them made by grad students. Winning time, the veterans coming up big. Javen Johnson, and that one by Umoja Gibson. Look at that, 97 points for the DePaul Blue Demons, 93 for Samford. What a ball game, Dickie Simpkins.
Well, when you talk about the transfer portal and you're talking about return on your investment, ROI, and you're talking about it working for both parties, the team, the school, and the player, Johnson and Gibson are showing you why they picked, Coach Stubblefield picked the right transfers to come in and step up right away, and it's paying off in this game.
All the points scored by DePaul here in overtime have been by grad transfers. Javen Johnson, Umoja Gibson, and Errol Penn. Guys who have been there and won that before.
Veteran experience, veteran winning experience paying off right now in the critical of the game.
Look at that, 18 made three-pointers, tied for the most since the 95-96 season. Good golly. And Paul's had some good shooters. Drake Diener, Draylon Burns. Anyway, all right, we've got a foul. So with the clock stopped, 1:15 remaining in overtime, we're going to have 2 free throws.
Well, good job by the Bulldogs coming right out of timeout, being aggressive right away, attacking the basket. Nelson not able to establish good position to take the charge. And it sends Campbell to the free throw line. And as we've seen, this game has gone back and forth. One possession one way, one possession the other way, which led us into overtime. The Bulldogs make this free throw right here. It's still a one-possession game.
Two important ones.
And if you pay attention right now, the timeouts are going to become a factor too. The Bulldogs only one timeout. The Blue Demons having 2 timeouts left.
Johnson waits for his buddy. Now Terry tosses it over to Gibson.
You have to have poise and concentration, attention to detail, so you can execute.
Johnson. Wonderful elevation. Raise it, and makes it a 4-point game.
Do you know how big that possession was? Johnson caught a bad pass, and he did not force up a three. He gathered the ball, attacked the paint, under control, nice mid-range J.
Parham lost it on the way up. Nelson! And that's how DePaul breaks the century mark. Nelson's 4th punch of the night, and it's a 6-point lead for DePaul.
I like the fact I questioned whether DePaul was going to be able to come out of the overtime and regroup after the way they finished regulation, and they're proving that they could. Coming out, making defense, create offense. Look at Gibson sharing the ball in the holiday season, finding Nelson, playing it high, dunking it high.
What a night for Nelson. He has made 6 shots, 4 dunks, and 2 threes. That's what I call efficient modern basketball.
And you mentioned earlier Gibson, 20 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, almost a triple-double, and most importantly, has been playing for the larger part of the final parts of the regulation and all of overtime with 4 fouls and not fouling out.
And looking at his line right now, he has played 42 minutes as Umoja Gibson. 42 minutes in a 40-minute game. Overtime helps. So DePaul trying to hang on. Remember, this is similar situation we had back at the end of regulation when they spit the bit. Trying to figure out how to close this one out.
And that's the other part that you need to pay off for having veteran players, veteran transfers, college experience. You want those guys because you want them to have the ability to be closers. This is where DePaul in the past, they have to get over the hump. They have to become closers. They have to know how to finish games. No need to foul. Be solid on D. And you can't give up easy, wide-open drives to the basket.
Campbell makes it a 4-point game. And Johnson is fouled. Johnson sitting on 27 points. He's 3 for 4 at the line. Remember, this is the double bonus. So 2 free throws coming for Johnson.
You see Coach Stubblefield right there explaining. He's a little frustrated. He didn't understand how they let the ball get over and give Campbell a direct line to the basket. That was too easy. No resistance.
Javen Johnson playing against a school in his home state. Johnson is from Decatur, Alabama. Samford is in Homewood, Alabama. That's Birmingham area.
I really like the talent that Coach Stubblefield has accumulated here through the transfer portal, but just also young guys.
Samford needs a bucket. Really? Oh, he got fouled. DePaul just can't stand prosperity. Whenever they've got something good going on, they'll shoot themselves in the foot. Clock stops. Jalen Terry fouls Really. We told you ad nauseum that Really's coach's son. Coach's sons don't miss free throws.
Yeah, I mean, right now, DePaul, you don't want to foul. You send a Saved by the bell right there. Saved by the bell. Theoretically, if Really makes it right here, it's still theoretically a 1-point game. I mean, a 1-possession game.
1 out of 2 for Really. 4-point game, 18.8. Samford's out of timeouts. DePaul has 2. If things go sideways, they can always call timeout and regroup.
Well, again, you're playing for the steal, a trap for the steal. If you don't get it, you foul.
Oh, my goodness. That's last touch by DePaul. It's Samford ball. The worst thing that DePaul can do, seemingly, is getting the ball to Gibson. That's 3 straight times they've inbounded it to him under pressure, and good things haven't happened.
Well, we know what DePaul will be working on in practice coming up. They're going to be working on playing against the pressure in critical parts of the game, taking care of the ball. The Bulldogs are doing an unbelievable job right now coming up with critical turnovers.
Open look, Parham. Whoa, that would have been massive. Last touch by Riley, I believe. That's last touched by Samford.
No, that's a foul right there. They're going to the free throw line. Foul, trying to keep Logan Dye off the board.
You're right.
They've stopped the clock now.
And Dye's at the line. Dye 2 for 2 at the line. It's become chronic. Samford struggling at that free throw line. As a team, they've missed 8 free throws. They're 20 for 28.
But we're at another situation where in the regulation, he makes this as a one-possession game. We were at the 11.5 second in regulation.
And a tie-up. Possession arrow favors Samford. DePaul can never clear the ball when they absolutely need to.
All the little details that equate to winning. Boxing out at the free throw line. Taking care of the ball against the pressure. Not turning it over. DePaul is not handling those important parts. And again, those are parts that help you cultivate closing games.
And Johnson traveled. Nathan Johnson traveled with 7.5 remaining. Wasn't heading toward a shot that I think Bucky McMillan would have wanted anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what part of the game.
And he did travel, too.
I don't know what part of the game Nathan Johnson felt like it was time for him to go into a post move right here.
And Errol Penn just backed away, pulled out the chair. Can DePaul inbound the basketball? And a foul. They're going to call the foul on Jaden Campbell, undercutting at Deshaun Nelson. And Nelson will shoot free throws. And now it should be over.
Well, that was one of those situations. That was almost a football play right there. Johnson just being the quarterback, throwing it to the tallest player on the court, almost like a wide receiver. And he went up and kind of Randy Moss caught that one against the defender right there. You got bailed out because you threw the ball to your tallest player, and Deshaun Nelson coming up with the ball.
Nelson came into the ball game 8 out of 9 at the free throw line. Makes it a 5-point lead. And now Samford gasping for air. They've got no timeouts to advance the ball. And they're down by a minimum of 5. This free throw will make it 6. And it should be Katie bar the door.
Well, the key moment of this overtime, as you see the miss right here.
As long as DePaul doesn't screw it up. All right, that will do it. What a wonderful win for the DePaul Blue Demons. At certain points, looked like they couldn't get out of their own way, but they win in overtime for the first time in 3 years, and they do it in style. They score 103 points to end a 3-game losing streak.
Well, I told you it was both up-tempo teams, and you got a high score. You got your money's worth plus an extra inning.